All right, welcome everyone. I'd like to just go through a couple of housekeeping items before I turn over the mic here. First off, just to let you know at 6:30 today that the Pony Awards are going to be held. You are in Mandalay Bay GH. If you're not meaning to be in this room, please stick around. This is going to be a very good talk. This is, and I apologize, Commercial Mobile Spyware Detecting the Undetectable with Joshua Dalman and Valerie Hantke. Without further ado.
Thank you. All right. Can everybody hear me? Yes. All right, perfect. Thank you all for being here. So again, today we're going to talk about commercial mobile spyware, detecting the undetectable. So about the authors. My name is Joshua Dalman, second generation digital forensics examiner. My father helped start the Michigan State Police Computer Crimes Lab in the late 1990s. So I grew up around digital forensics. I grew up around NCASE, FTK, the old mSpy tools. I have a master's degree in digital forensics from the University of Central Florida. I have numerous certifications, and I'm currently working on a PhD in information assurance from Nova Southeastern University. My co-presenter and co-worker, Valerie Hantke, has a master's degree in cybersecurity from the University of Maryland, University College, and is also a graduate of the U.S. Naval Academy in Annapolis. She also has many certifications. So why are we here today? Today we are going to talk about mobile spyware. We're first going to introduce what mobile spyware is. We're going to talk about research methods, and then the results, and then have a conclusion and take questions. So commercial mobile spyware, you can find it online through Google search. Very easy to obtain. Quick Google search for Android spyware yields dozens of hits. Easy to install. Lots of features, such as capturing text messages, pictures, locations, all sorts of stuff. And it stores that data on a third-party remote server. So if you purchase spyware from, let's say, mSpy, for example, and you install it on a phone, the data on that phone that mSpy collects is stored on the mSpy servers. And depending, it may already be on your enterprise network. So there's some variation amongst the spyware programs and what they collect. At minimum, they will collect text messages, call history, web history, Wi-Fi networks, emails, GPS locations. Others, you can activate the microphone on the device and listen in on conversations ongoing in the room without the phone owner's knowledge. You can activate the camera. You can even eavesdrop on conversations while they're happening, depending on the program. So what we know about these? But what do we know about these types of programs? Well, there hasn't been a lot of research out there, but what has been done, Checkpoint LaCoon did a study earlier this year. They found over 20 different variants, against a very fragmented market, and 18 families. Of note, they found two programs, mSpy and Spy2 Mobile, account for over half of all infections. And those are the two we're going to talk about today. We looked at more than just those two, but we're focusing on those two to give you the most value for being here. If you have over 2,000 devices on your network, on your enterprise network, you have a 50% chance of having at least one of those devices being infected. So are these devices legal? And the answer to that is, well, it kind of depends. Last October, the FBI, out of the Virginia office, arrested the owner of a similar, one of these spyware companies called Stealth Genie. He later pled guilty and paid a $500,000 fine. That company was shut down. That was kind of a watershed moment when it comes to these mobile spyware programs. In the past, prior to this, they had been marketed towards cheating spouses. In fact, one of them, when I was researching, even had a Valentine's Day special. You could buy the spyware 20% off on Valentine's Day. How about that? They're now marketed towards employees and child monitoring. Again, kind of changing course. When it comes to legal, they have a legal disclaimer, and most of the companies are still up and running. Yes, the FBI arrested the owner of Stealth Genie, but the two largest are still up and running, being mSpy and Spy2 Mobile. So why should you care about this? Why are we here? If you're doing cybersecurity for an enterprise, why do you care if someone's spouse put spyware on their phone? How would that affect your organization? Well, we mentioned that these spyware companies store the data on a third-party server. So what could go wrong with that? Well, earlier this year, mSpy, being the largest, according to the Lacoon Checkpoint study, was breached. Their server was breached. And what was interesting about this is when I first looked at them back in October of last year, they were using Amazon Web Service, AWS, out of Virginia. FBI then arrested Stealth Genie, the owner, and they since moved to Germany. And you can see how that worked out. They moved to some third-party server and some new server, and they were breached. Hundreds of gigabytes of data was posted. So, for example, corporate emails, wireless network information, perhaps wireless passwords, text messages, pictures, emails, all available now to download from anybody who wants to. So here's what we did. We took a Samsung Galaxy S3, running KitKat. We captured both volatile analysis, or volatile memory. So we used Android Debug Bridge, which is a free Google tool. We connected it to the phone and created a shell window on it. We then pushed Mem and Netcat, two free open source tools. You can download them from GitHub. Mem being supported by Donnie Tyndall, who is a brilliant instructor. So we pushed those to memory. So we ran catproc mounts, and we saw that tempfs, which is an Android memory, is mounted to /dev in this case. So we just copied them /dev. We're both forensics people. We want to minimize the footprint that our tools have on the device, on the phone. So once we captured that memory from the running process, the spyware, we ran strings on it and saw what we could find. We also used a Celebrate for PC and Physical Analyzer to do physical acquisition analysis, to see what we could find from the so-called undetectable spyware programs. So about mSpy. Again, being the most popular spyware program, sold on a subscription basis, relatively inexpensive to buy. They also claim to have over 1 million customers. So installing mSpy, you need physical access to the phone. For Android, you have to modify the security settings to allow untrusted apps, browse to the website, download and install the APK. When you purchase the spyware program, you have to enter a username and password and create an account. They will email you a special code, like an authorization code. When you install the spyware, you type it in and you're in. If that is too hard for you, if you need additional assistance, don't worry, there is tech support available. So while you're owning a phone, if you have trouble, you can go and, for an extra fee, their tech support people will call you and talk you through it, which is handy, I guess. So once it's on the phone, they have a command and control server. Just a dashboard. This would be where the adversary monitors the intrusion. It's the C2. So you can look at call logs. You can look at text messages, data fencing. You can look at Skype, WhatsApp, and all sorts of information on here. You can also set up settings where you tell the device, okay, when you're hooked up to Wi-Fi, I only want you to transmit the pictures back to the C2 or the server at that point, or you can select cellular. So you can monitor and control the intrusion from here. So what did we find with mSpy? Well, when we pulled the memory and ran strings on it, we found the settings from the previous slide stored locally on the phone. Okay, that's kind of cool. So the SMS, that is turned on, that is enabled. So you see enable true. Wi-Fi only fault is set to false. We found more though. I'm sorry, went too fast. It also captured the location of the device. So as it's running, you can see the latitude and longitude being captured, and you can also see the domains. Notice, for example, we have thd.cc as one of the domains it's using. We took a packet capture. We used a free open source tool called Shark4Root and took a packet capture. So we install it, started the packet capture, sent a text message. The spyware program kicked off and started sending that data back to the server. And again, if you look very closely, I know it's kind of small. Do you see a familiar domain on there? the thd.cc. And we did a whois domain tools search, and we found out that the IP address, we looked it up, is 136.243.253.185. Again, a German IP address now. Previously, that was using Amazon Web Service out of Ashburn, Virginia. Okay, so what did we find using the Celebrate tool? Well, we found additional evidence that the spyware program left behind. We found evidence in the web history where the attacker had to pick up the phone and browse to a website to download the APK file. We found that the process, or the installation process, installed a root data Android sys process. If anybody in here is doing digital forensics or computer forensics and you have a Celebrate image and you're looking for spyware, a great place to start is to look at the installed applications and scroll through those and look at the permissions. Spyware, by its nature, is going to be very invasive. Typically, you'll see it has permissions to pretty much everything on the phone. It definitely stands out. In addition, we had an applications folder containing a SQLite database. It contained a log of all the data sent back to the C2. So here's actually the internal.db. This was stored locally on the phone. So you could see the text messages, URLs that were visited. You could see the locations and all sorts of information here stored locally on the phone. So I'm going to bring up my coworker Valerie, and she's going to cover Spy2 Mobile.
Good evening. Thank you again for coming. My name is Valerie Hantke, and I'll be talking about Spy2 Mobile, which is the second most common mobile spyware application. It is sold on a subscription basis for 99 cents a day. And in order to get a clean image on our phone, after we used mSpy, we blew out a new ROM on the phone using Odin, and then updated the phone to the latest version of Android, KitKat 4.4.4, and rooted the device. This was to ensure that we didn't have any traces of mSpy left on the phone. So just like with mSpy, installing Spy2 Mobile requires physical access to the phone. The attacker has to go in and modify the security settings to allow untrusted applications. From there, they can open up a browser such as Google Chrome and go to the spy2mobile.com website. From there, they can go and download and install it's data_backup.apk. And once this is installed, Data Backup puts a widget onto the phone, onto the screen, and it cannot be deleted. We tried several different ways to remove it, and the only way we found out you could remove it is by just completely wiping the phone and putting a new image on it. And so this looks just like the settings widget, like a little settings cog. And so to the average user, they're probably not going to notice a widget like this on their phone, especially if it cannot be deleted. From there, the attacker enters their email address in order to register with Spy2 Mobile. So this is the command and control for Spy2 Mobile. It's very similar to mSpy. In the upper left, you can see that we are currently monitoring a Samsung GT i9300, which is our Samsung Galaxy S3. And we can see the phone's IMEI, that the phone is connected. And so if the phone were to be turned off or put into airplane mode, it would show that the phone is disconnected. The attacker is able to track via GPS. You can see here in the middle, it shows the Latin long and a date time stamp of where the phone is currently located. Can also monitor the battery level and the versions of software. On the right-hand side, we're able to see the user's contacts. You can see there's one contact in the phone and a phone number, the different text messages, call history, and different chat applications such as WhatsApp and Viber. Spy2 Mobile is not as robust as mSpy is, doesn't track as many features, but it's still cost-effective for an attacker. So we did the same kind of forensic analysis for Spy2 Mobile that we did for mSpy. We looked at the memory, application memory, and we sent a text message to a phone number, and Spy2 Mobile was able to capture the text message, the call, or the SMS time, and you can see that SMS was sent on July 7th, 2015 at 18:28:07 GMT. Spy2 Mobile captures the time in Unix time, and which isn't really user-friendly. So if you throw it into a time conversion, you can get a time that makes sense to people. And you can see the content of the text message is I love Black Cat 2015, and it was sent to phone number 555-2368. And there are extra cool points if anyone knows who that phone number belongs to. So we looked at the application memory, and we're able to see all the recorded wireless networks. And Spy2 Mobile doesn't just collect the wireless networks that the phone connects to, it also collects any wireless network that is available at that moment in that area. So we had 2 different networks available in our office. We had a guest network and our pen testing lab network. And it shows both of those with their latitude and longitude. And then it shows the Wi-Fi that are stored. So we actually connected the phone to our guest network in Columbia, and it stores that, and it stores the latitude and longitude of where we were. So using Shark4Root, we did take a PCAP, and we're able to analyze the network traffic for Spy2 Mobile. And it shows that it communicates with IP address 107.20.217.40 using TCP over port 7766. So we threw this into a whois lookup to figure out where this IP address was, and it is registered to Wild West Domains LLC and is hosted by Amazon AWS in Ashburn, Virginia. So we took a physical rip of the phone using Celebrite's UFED for PC, and then analyzed the rip using Celebrite's physical analyzer. And we can see the Google Chrome history where the attacker went to Spy2 Mobile's website and downloaded the data _backup.apk file. And we can see where Spy2 Mobile is installed in the root directory. And if you drill down into Spy2 Mobile's folder structure, there is a SQLite database called system.db, and that is where all the data is stored collected by Spy2 Mobile. So here's a screen cap of the systems.db, and it shows what the attacker has access to. The metadata, the call logs, contacts, messages, and all the different Wi-Fi networks the phone had access to. So you can see that we just drove around and we touched 65 different wireless networks. Didn't connect to any of them, but Spy2 Mobile will just capture that. And it's a good way for an attacker to know where their victim is. So how do you know if you've been infected? To the average user, they're probably not going to know that they have spyware on their phone. So the best bet is to always use a strong passcode and limit the physical access to your phone. Don't leave the phone on your desk and step away for a meeting or something. Always check URLs visited, anything that's been downloaded on the phone, just to ensure that something isn't something you did. Always look at your security settings and determine if you have enabled untrusted applications to be installed. And I know many people that have Droids do root their phones. People who have iOS devices might jailbreak them. But just know that your phone is more susceptible to spyware. And always look for a new widget or something that doesn't look right on your phone. I'm an iOS user, and every time you do an iOS update to the latest software version, Apple has some new application that you can't delete on your phone. And just like with Spy2 Mobile, you might think, oh, there's just another application that Android put, or Samsung, whoever put on there that I can't delete. And if you're ever uncertain, just you can always take a PCAP. There are many free tools, open source tools out there. Look at the data. There's many free forensic tools out there that you can use to try and figure out if your phone has been infected. There is some similar work out there. We aren't the first ones to look at commercial mobile spyware. Taylor and Robinson presented at DEF CON 20 on commercial mobile spyware. We chose different applications to look at, and we chose the top 2, and we also looked at the volatile memory. Again, we are with Fidelis Cybersecurity. Please stop by booth 719, check us out. We have fantastic products and services. We have lots of talks and demos. Are there any questions?
Did any of the spyware change the battery consumption profile of the device? Is that obvious?
Not that we noticed. Oh, the question was if the spyware applications utilize more battery consumption. And from our analysis, we did not notice that.
So on the subscription services, did you notice if the spyware was still collecting data after you'd stopped paying the 99 cents a day or whatnot?
Can I answer that one? We weren't able to tell for sure because once the subscription stopped, you weren't able to log in. But for example, on Spy2 Mobile, we tried and we literally couldn't uninstall it. So the undetectable spyware, you try to move the widget, you log in the website, there's no uninstallation tools for that spyware program. So presumably, but I have no way to know for sure on that.
You didn't check like PCAP files to see if any more data was flying out to...
I can go back and look, but no, we didn't research that. We just collected it once we finished.
And I think the phone number was from Ghostbusters.
You are
Yes.
correct, sir. Cool points for you.
Hi, how did you get the memory acquisition?
Okay, so what we did is we used ADB, Android Debug Bridge, which allowed us to go from our laptop to the phone. We created a shell, and since the phone was rooted, we were able to have root access. So then we used ADB to push mem and netcat from our laptop to the memory on the phone. And then from there, just command line. If you check our white paper on that, we literally go step by step with screenshots with command line syntax telling you how to do that.
Another question, did you look into the code implementation of the spyware?
No, we did not.
Okay.
Is there any spyware that allows you to put your own back end in, where you don't need their server, put it on your own web server?
Not that I saw, but I'm not going to say it doesn't exist. The ones we saw, the ones we tested, all use their server, but I'm not going to say there isn't something out there that's more customizable. We try to focus on the top 2 and things that are more common or more popular, things that unsophisticated actors might do. All right.
I noticed the 2 IP addresses all relate to Amazon.com. Do you have any thoughts about that?
Oh, one of them was from Germany. The other one was AWS. So that was the hosting service.
mSpy was hosted by Amazon AWS, but they moved to Germany, and the only reason we can think of is to avoid U.S. jurisdiction if they're hosted by a foreign country, can't say 100%.
Yeah, that's our speculation on that. We didn't talk to them, so we can just guess on that.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions? All right. Yes, sir.
Are there any known mobile spyware that can be installed without physical access to the phone?
That can't be what? I'm sorry, can you say that again?
Are there any mobile spyware applications that can be installed without physical access to the
I think
phone?
there was a briefing on that earlier today from Josh Drake on that. But not that.
Probably not commercially available, but I'm sure there are some 3-letter agencies that can do that.
From an enterprise security standpoint, is it possible to build an IDS signature to detect these while they're running on the wireless network within the enterprise?
Possibly. I mean, we certainly have the domains you could alert off of. As far as that, I guess it depends on the phone too, if you have any way to track processes, programs on the phone. But you could certainly off of the IP addresses. Because those are static, those weren't changing for us. Any other questions? Well, thank you all for attending. Hope you had a great day at Black Hat, and hope to see you all around. Thank you.